Welcome to Ties of Faith. I'm Christine Watkins, your host. Frank! Oh
Hey,
my gosh,
no.
I thought we couldn't do the show. What happened? Why are you late?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but my car was stolen!
Oh, not again. Again?
Yeah, it's the second car in the last 6 months.
Oh my goodness. How'd you get here?
Well, I took a cab, and then, as you keep reminding me, I'm so short, the cab driver didn't see me in the back seat. He started taking on other fares, so here I am, late.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's interesting. I mean, that's sad that
Yeah.
you bring that up because we have a guest today. His name is Julio Escobar, and he does restorative justice for the Archdiocese of San Francisco.
Justice?
So,
The people who
yes.
stole my car need justice. I don't know about this restorative thing, but they need justice.
Justice. So you want him locked up in a little cell?
Absolutely.
Okay, well.
Disrupting lives, disrupting shows, impacting your life. Come on.
Yeah, well, it is kind of entertaining in a way that it's impacting my life, but I feel that there could be a balance, and I think Julio's going to talk to us about this, and that he works with gang members. He works with people who steal cars, who steal car radios, who are wreaking some havoc, and he finds that they are children of God too, just like you, Frank. And that maybe there's a way to have justice and restoration, and maybe everybody wins. What do you think?
That'd be nice, but it's a long shot. It may be a little unrealistic. You might be living in a little paradise of your own making.
Okay, well, we are in a garden, I must say.
Well,
and I'd love for Julio to
good point.
enter it. So nice to see you.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. I'd like you to meet my friend Frank.
Nice to meet you, Frank.
Nice to meet you, Julio.
Sounds like you said Julio. Well, he probably is holy. And we're going to hear about your holiness because I heard from you that you didn't start off that way. Is that right?
That's correct. My life was a chaos in a way. I was one of those people that would go out a lot and party and be a womanizer and deal a lot with, partying a lot and just going crazy with my life.
Was that the goal of your life, just to have fun and party and have a good time?
Well, along with working, yes, it was. But there is a moment in life which you recognize that there are other things that you can do in life that give you not so much happiness and pleasure, but joy.
Something deeper.
Something deeper. And
What happened to you to change that?
my brother passed away from an overdose of cocaine, and the police came, knocked on the door, and they were looking for family members that could go identify him, and so that was impactful for me. And when you have to go and identify a family member of yours, and that was the beginning of my life turning around from the life that I used to have.
What did you feel inside? You had to identify your brother's body? Is that what you had to do?
Yes. So that's, it's hard because the person is dead and, he's not alive and then he's not moving, and you expect for the person to move when you respond, and then you have to communicate the news to other family members, and that's very difficult.
Of course.
Yes.
So this happens to you, and does that change you in a way that moves you towards God at that moment?
Well, what happened after that is that we had to deal with the funeral, go to church, and again, I was not an active Christian or Catholic, and I always said I was Catholic, but my life did not really reflect who I was. So we went through the whole funeral process. And we buried my brother, and we took him back to El Salvador, where he was from, and then I came back, and then we had to continue supporting the family, my nephews and my niece, and so that's basically what happened during that period, that I started to gain conscious that I need to get closer to God.
Oh, was it during the funeral that you started to realize you should get closer to God?
Well, when we go to church and we are in a funeral, most of the time we feel closer to God. But I think something else begun, and there was a priest that invited me to come back to church.
Invited you?
Yeah, he was the priest that did the funeral.
So
service.
he gave you a direct invitation.
He gave me a direct invitation, and then I joined a youth group.
Oh.
And started to learn more about God, and I started to feel that there was more than what I was claiming.
Were you still leading a double life, like kind of Frank does, where you're still partying on one side and going to church on another?
I still did that.
Hey, leave me out of it. My main question is, were you stealing cars, huh?
No, I was not stealing cars.
Okay, I'll back off.
It was mainly partying, like Frank, and that was the type of life. But slowly I started to get deeper into the faith, and then I was invited to a retreat.
What kind of retreat was it?
It's called Cursillo.
Oh, I've heard of that. Have you ever been?
Short course in Christianity. It's from Spain, been around for about 25 years.
You're brilliant. You're
brilliant.
Frank Brilliant.
I'm brilliant.
Well
Okay,
done.
Yeah, maybe Frank should take the Cursillo.
I think so. Could you invite him? How would he find out about
Well,
Cursillo?
he looks like a gang member with that red color there, so so he should wear another color. But coming back to this special moment in the retreat, it's a 3-day retreat, and it's a special moment that only one can really live. And I really felt like I really did not want to come out of that retreat center.
You didn't want to leave.
Because I felt something special. I felt like I was going to come back to the life and sing, just become a sinner again.
Oh, you were afraid to leave because you were afraid to sin. And I've heard so many stories about this retreat, Cursillo, that it's transformed thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in a weekend. Is there a website for that? For
I think there's a Cursillo website, so if you Google that, people can find it.
Cursillo.
Double L-O.
Nope, he can
you
spell
must speak Spanish,
too.
Frank.
Sí, muy bueno.
It's a perfect accent.
Yes. So the priest that was that invited me to come back to church, he was one of the leaders in the Cursillo.
Oh.
So there was a connection already there, and he was kind of leading me towards the process of my life of changing, and that was very impactful.
And what happens after Cursillo? There's this leap from that to restorative justice ministry?
The very next day, I recall exactly, I was sitting down on my bed. And
this is the day after the Cursillo?
The very day after,
Cursillo.
Monday, I was sitting down on my bed, and then I felt like I needed to do something. So I picked up the phone and called the Juvenile Justice Center in San Francisco, and I asked if there were any volunteer opportunities to go see young people, especially young people that were doing drugs.
So was that a connection
there was
with
a
your
connection,
brother?
With the death of my brother, and so that's what I really wanted to do.
To prevent other kids going through and perhaps dying from what your brother did. Was that the motivation?
The motivation was to share with them the story of my brother, and then leave it up to them if they wanted to go the path of drug use and selling.
I think everyone who steals cars is on drugs.
Yes, Frank, but everybody has an opportunity to change.
Even you?
Me? Do I need to change?
No, I don't know what I was thinking. When you see perfection, you don't mess with it.
That's better.
Just go to Cursillo, Frank.
Cursillo, yeah. I'm thinking about it. I've heard about it for a long time. I am aware of it. I have a lot of knowledge.
Good. So you need a conversion. So that was basically the story of my life up to that point. And from then on, one of my first experiences I wanna mention is when I first encountered one of the young persons that was in juvenile hall. And
so was this when you started doing your volunteer work?
One of my first experiences. Yes.
Okay, and you're going into juvenile hall.
So I'm going to juvenile hall, and one of the things that we need to have when we go into jails and is is what we call compassionate listening. And that is to listen with compassion and don't interrupt and just feel the story. So
don't interrupt, Christine.
So this boy starts telling me his story, and I was just listening. And so he starts sharing with me how he used to live in a dumpster in El Salvador. And
In a dumpster.
Yes, in El Salvador, and he was the oldest, and he used to live in a cardboard home near the dumpster, and he had a younger brother.
Oh, near the dump.
Yes.
Like a widespread area
Yes.
where garbage is dumped.
Yes.
And he had siblings. How old
He
were
had
they?
siblings. I don't recall exactly what the ages he said, but they were a lot younger than him.
And he was how
And
old?
he was around 12, 13.
Oh. And
so
no parents?
No parents. They had to be probably 9. I remember he said there were 3. So they had to be something like maybe 6, 7, and 9.
Oh.
So
Girls, boys?
Boys.
3 young boys,
Yeah.
siblings.
So he decided that he wanted to have a better life and travels through Mexico and finally arrives in Los Angeles to supposedly some people that were going to help him and some close relatives.
How did he get to Los Angeles? How was he eating? How was he sleeping?
He traveled by cities and exactly I don't remember what he said, how he would survive, but he would travel through Guatemala, which is a country in El Salvador, in Central America, and from Guatemala we go from cities to cities, basically almost begging, because there was no way of really working.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have any formal education. He didn't go to school. He didn't really know how to read or anything like that. And so, but he finally makes it to Mexico, where he spent, I think, maybe a couple of years before he really crossed the frontier and got to Los Angeles. And so I'm listening to his story.
So he's telling you all of this. He just starts talking to you.
Correct.
In this room in Juvenile Hall.
Yes. And he goes from basically the lifestyle that he had in Los Angeles and starts to share about that he was living in a home where everything was provided for him. Food, cars, the house itself.
So he goes from abject poverty to a middle-class home.
Which he never really had. So he felt welcomed, and the food he got, he said that he would eat 3 times a day and more.
And he hadn't been eating.
Yeah, for a long time because where he used to live.
He never ate much, right?
Correct,
Because there was
correct.
no food. I mean, he's used to hunger.
Yes, and then so he starts to get money. So he sends money back home
To his siblings.
to support his family there, and then so the type of job that he was trained to do was, first of all, he would go in a car with somebody else that would show him the route that he would eventually drive a car. And basically what he would do is once they got to a particular destination, he would get off the car and drop off packages of drugs.
Of drugs.
And so he was being trained, first of all, as a delivery boy, and he would go and drop off packages into different locations.
How old was he when he was asked to be a drug deliverer?
He was probably 15 at that
15?
age. From traveling, from Central America through Mexico, and then doing this work in Los Angeles. So I believe he was in a drug trafficking house or ring network where they would distribute drugs in Los Angeles.
Right, and he had no idea he was getting into that, right?
He knew what he was doing, but there was no, for him, he was in trouble and he felt okay, and he was better from what he had before.
What are you thinking as he's telling you this story?
Well, at this time, I'm thinking, I'm getting more interested in his story because often people don't share everything about their life. And here we have a young person telling me his story, and in my mind, I'm going, okay, what is he gonna ask me? He's going to ask me for help. He's going to ask me for housing. What is he going to ask me for?
Oh, so you're thinking he must have an objective, a
Correct.
hidden motive
So
for
as he
telling
gets
me
deeper
this.
and deeper into the conversation, I'm thinking, well, I'm getting here into a situation where I'm going to need to help. And so I'm just thinking compassionately and listening. Okay, I'm open to this, but I wasn't sure what it could have been.
Yeah.
So he continues with his story, and then at one point he becomes promoted, sort of, where he was how to drive, and then he knew where he had to go and deliver drugs.
And he wasn't taking any of these drugs. He's just the delivery boy.
He was basically trained that he was not to consume any drugs or get associated with any of the prostitution and the activities that would go on at home.
Okay.
He was being provided money, he was providing housing, and he had to do a job.
Was he stealing cars? Huh?
He was not stealing cars, he was doing worse things than stealing cars, Frank.
Worse.
Yeah, worse things.
Hard to believe, but yeah, okay.
And so he continues this lifestyle in driving. He was then training other young persons
to drive and deliver
to
the
drive.
drugs.
And he was a tall boy for a
his
15-year-old, because he was 16, 17 at the time I met him last. And then, but then he realized that was not the reason why he had come to the United States. He had come to really find work in an honest way, and then so he escaped. He decided to escape, and once he had more money, and leaves Los Angeles and comes to San Francisco.
Ah, is that where you might come into the picture?
Yes. So,
Okay.
but then running runs out, and then he decides to start stealing.
Why does he decide to start
Because he
stealing?
didn't have any more money.
He ran out and he couldn't survive.
He couldn't survive, so he thought that stealing something from a car.
There it is. I've been waiting for that. Did he get locked up?
He did get locked up, and he did time, but it wasn't your car, Frank.
Oh.
It was somebody else's car,
Oh, so it's okay.
which
Well.
still caused harm, but that's how he got caught.
Not as bad.
So that's how he got caught.
But he did not have a criminal record.
Yeah.
So he was here first in San Francisco, and he gets locked up, and then he starts telling me what happened, and that's when I come into the picture, and then I'm listening to him and his whole story.
And what happens? You're in the cell. He's telling you all these private details. You've just met him for the first time, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to have to give him money or something. Where's the rub?
Well, so he continues to say, at this moment, what I would like to ask is for a hug. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, he was going to ask for housing, money, or something else. And it really shocked me, and that motivated me to continue helping other people.
What happened when he asked for the hug?
I hugged him, and he cried, and I cried, and we tried to help him. He gained residency and moved on to become a citizen, and he lives currently in Florida.
Oh, do you know what he does now? Have you been in touch with him?
I believe he works in construction, and he has a family and kids.
Oh.
Yeah.
God
No more
bless
car
him.
stealing?
No more car stealing, Frank.
Huh. Did
So-
you hear that? People stopped car stealing. I thought once you started, you don't stop. Kind of like selling ties.
Well, Frank, do you think this kid should have been just left in a cell, that would have been better than meeting somebody like Julio, who does this ministry of restorative justice?
Well, I appreciate what Julio's doing. I really do. Definitely he needs to serve some time. Okay? That's the first and foremost factor there. Stolen cars. It's not funny.
No, not too funny. It's hard. But what did you feel like when you hugged him?
Well, I felt that he could have been my brother, alive, or it could have been my other brothers, and I really felt the same joy that I had at the retreat. I really felt the presence of the Lord, And I realized that I was called to do this ministry. And on and on and on. And that's my 20 years of experience that I've been doing all of this time.
20 years.
Yes.
And what kind of violence do you deal with? What kind of activity are you involved in or trying to pull youth out of?
Yeah, we work with people that have done gang activity, mostly selling drugs, stealing cars, Frank.
Huh?
And human trafficking and homicide. So from the minor crime to a big crime. And
stealing cars is at the top of the list, of course.
It's somewhere there. And so each person brings a story. And whether it's a small crime or a big crime, the question is when we have someone in jail, it's like, what could have happened in the life of this person? And everybody has a story.
And you bring out that story. Do you also work with the victims of crime?
We work with the victims of crime, people that have been harmed.
Like Frank,
Like Frank that has been hurt because his car was stolen.
Nobody called me when my car was stolen this morning.
Well, I'm here to meet you, Frank.
Okay,
God sent him to you.
Okay. I'll back off.
We'll do some healing with you.
Please.
So we work with victims of homicide specifically, and we work through the process of healing from the moment the homicide occurs through the barrier and then after that. And so restorative justice is about working with the offenders and working with the victims.
Okay.
And then each of them has a process and a step in which they have to reconcile with God and forgive and ask for forgiveness and forgive.
But in my experience, pretty much the victims just want justice. They really don't need anyone to come hold their hand. Just deal with the criminal and deal with them harshly.
Correct.
Is that correct? Is Frank right about that?
That's correct in the sense that there are people that need to be in prison and they should stay there. But also there are people, everyone needs an opportunity to ask for forgiveness and reconcile with God.
If somebody wants to get involved with restorative justice, what would they do?
Well, they would need to call me. And
call you personally?
Call me personally, do an interview. I would need to listen to their story, why they want to do this. They would need to feel they have a calling specifically. Because the least we need is somebody to come and harm another person. So we need to have people with compassion and a call to serve those people that are in jail and or serve those that are victims of crime.
And if they're not in the San Francisco Bay Area, would they call their local diocese to find out what kind of ministries they might have?
Each diocese has a ministry to serve victims and offenders.
Okay, and would you want to give some information if people were local and they wanted to contact you?
If they were local,
what would that be?
In San Francisco, they can call 415-861-9579.
And do you have an email as well?
And my email is escobarj@sfarchdiocese.org.
Okay, wonderful. Julio, this has been wonderful having you teach us and hopefully teach Frank, who's in a bad space.
It's just been a rough day, Julio. Yeah. I apologize if I came across too hard.
It's okay, Frank. Just reconcile with God.
I will do it, yes.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure.
Thank you,
Give me
Julio.
a high five, Frank.
High five.
Thank you.
Oh,
Take care.
God bless you.
Keep up your good work, Julio.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lock him up.
Put
him in the cell. Keep him there.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I said. I mean, I was a little emotional coming in, but again, you know, I mean, we're not down on justice here. I didn't hear that.
No, we're not down on justice.
But I did hear...
Justice is an aspect of God.
Right. But so is compassion. I heard that loud and clear.
Yeah,
that's my big takeaway.
I apologize, Frank, if I've been less than compassionate about what happened to you this morning.
Yeah, I mean, the short jokes, the car stolen, you do pile it on a little bit sometimes.
Okay, sorry about that. I know piling it on you makes you even shorter.
Huh?
Nothing. And remember, don't forget those ties of faith.